Are you a Gen X or Gen Z? What is the difference between Gen X and Gen Z? Ask yourself, which part do you belong? This transcript captures something a lot of people feel but rarely articulate so clearly. Gen X, born roughly 1965 to 1980, as the forgotten or middle child generation. Sandwiched between the larger, more vocal Baby Boomers and Millennials, Gen Z, Gen X often gets overlooked in cultural conversations, marketing, and media spotlights. Yet, as the piece points out, that very invisibility helped forge a distinct set of strengths rooted in a pre-digital, less supervised, more skeptical world. The 7 strengths laid out here align closely with what research, personal accounts, and generational analyses consistently describe about Gen X. Number 1. Independent by nature. The classic Latchkey kid experience shaped a generation in quiet but powerful ways. Many Gen X children came home from school to empty houses, let themselves in with a key on a string or tucked in a backpack, and figured out the rest of the afternoon on their own. There were no hovering parents checking homework at the kitchen table, no smartphones to send quick texts, and definitely no instant Google searches to solve every question. If something broke, they tried to fix it. If they were confused about an assignment, they read the textbook again. If they were bored, they invented something to do. This daily routine built real independence from an early age. They learned how to manage time, prepare simple meals, follow instructions, and handle small emergencies without panic. There was no audience handing out praise for every small win, and no immediate rescue when things went wrong. That absence of constant supervision didn't weaken them. It strengthened their problem-solving muscles. Over time, this independence became a defining trait. Gen X adults are often comfortable making decisions without needing group approval or online validation. When challenges appear, they assess the situation, rely on their experience, and take action. They are less likely to freeze in a crisis because they have been practicing self-reliance since childhood. Instead of crowdsourcing every decision, they trust their judgment, adapt quickly, and move forward with steady confidence. Number 2. Naturally adaptive learners. Growing up in a time before constant digital connection shaped Gen X in lasting ways. After school, many walked into quiet homes, dropped their bags, and managed the rest of the day without step-by-step guidance. There were no instant search engines to answer every question, no group chats to debate simple decisions, and no parent hovering over every move. If they didn't understand something, they experimented until they figured it out. If they faced a problem, they worked through it instead of waiting for someone to step in. That environment quietly trained them to rely on themselves. Independence was not a motivational slogan, it was daily life. They learned to think through consequences, weigh options, and make choices without needing applause or reassurance. When something went wrong, they adjusted. When plans changed, they adapted. Repetition built confidence. Over time, this habit of solving things solo became second nature. As adults, many from this generation approach challenges with a steady mindset. They are less likely to panic when unexpected issues arise because handling uncertainty has always been familiar territory. Instead of seeking constant validation or polling a crowd before acting, they trust their judgment. They assess, decide, and move forward. This self-contained resilience often makes them calm in high-pressure moments. While others may pause to gather opinions, they are already working on solutions, drawing from years of quietly practiced self-sufficiency. Number 3. Highly perceptive and skeptical. Formed during a time of public scandals, shifting institutions, and cultural cynicism, Gen X grew up watching trust and authority take visible hits. Political controversies, major corporate layoffs that blindsided loyal workers, and a music scene that openly challenged polished images all sent a clear message. Not everything presented as solid or sincere truly is. These experiences didn't make them bitter, they made them alert. Instead of accepting headlines, advertisements, or corporate promises at face value, they learned to pause and look closer. Flashy marketing, exaggerated claims, and carefully crafted public images are often met with raised eyebrows rather than instant belief. They tend to ask practical questions. Who benefits from this? What's the catch? What isn't being said? Years of watching institutions falter trained them to separate substance from spin. This sharpened awareness functions like an internal radar. They notice inconsistencies in language, overused buzzwords, and emotional manipulation. When something feels overly polished or overly urgent, they instinctively step back instead of rushing in. That instinct proves especially useful in today's fast-moving environment filled with viral trends, influencer promotions, and constant opinion streams. Rather than being swept up in hype, many Gen X adults rely on observation, experience, and intuition. They trust their gut when signals don't line up, and they are comfortable holding a healthy doubt until proof appears. In a world where appearances can be manufactured instantly, that grounded skepticism becomes a steadying advantage. Number 4. Straightforward in communication. Before social media reshaped communication, disagreements were handled directly. If there was a misunderstanding, you talked about it in person or picked up the phone. There were no cryptic posts, no indirect status updates aimed at someone, and no simple block button to avoid discomfort. Conversations required presence. You had to hear the other person's tone, notice their pauses, and read their facial expressions. Walking away without resolution often meant seeing that same person the next day at school, work, or in the neighborhood. This environment quietly strengthened emotional control. People learned to manage their reactions in real time because there was no screen to hide behind. If tempers flared, they had to cool down while still standing in front of the other person. That practice built resilience and patience. It also encouraged clearer communication, since misunderstandings couldn't be left floating in digital silence. Addressing issues face-to-face required courage and maturity. You had to explain what bothered you, listen to a response, and work towards some form of closure. Avoidance was harder, so resolution was more common. Over time, this habit shaped a generation that tends to prefer straightforward conversations over indirect signals. Rather than allowing frustration to simmer through online commentary, many Gen X adults instinctively choose direct dialogue. They value clarity, accountability, and real-time feedback. That comfort with direct communication often leads to quicker problem-solving and fewer lingering misunderstandings.